Hello, everyone. Welcome along to your Rangers Rabble Women's Podcast on a Monday evening. I'm Brian, the host, and we have a full house tonight because we are obviously reacting to Rangers women winning the Cup final. Motherwell 0, Rangers 5. Tremendous day, decent crowd. Car, how are you feeling?
Well, even better the fact that we beat Hibs and not Motherwell.
Sorry, yes, I know.
It was at Motherwell's ground, right enough.
Yeah, I know.
I'm fantastic. I'm still absolutely buzzing.
Alan, was that scoreline more surprising considering where Hibs are in the league?
I don't think any of us had predicted a scoreline like that. You know, I think the manner of the victory was even sweeter. You know, I think we were all expecting a very, very tough game, and we're going to obviously talk about the game, but to come away for that 5-0 winners and make it 3 League Cups in a row is just absolutely brilliant, and left us all absolutely buzzing on Saturday.
Absolutely. And Demi, I first seen you when you were queuing for food. Was you expecting anything that you seen unfolding on Saturday?
No, I mean, obviously I did think we were going to win it, but I thought it was going to be by a much closer margin and much closer to the 90 minutes than we had already won it. So,
yeah, Rolf, I mean, you're always the most optimistic Rangers fan that you'll see, but I don't think even you could have seen that scoreline.
No, I didn't expect Hibs to Hibs it quite the way they did. To be fair, I think that was more down to us than down to them, though. Yeah, it was. I mean, never saw that coming. I think we'll get into the game, but the 2 goals at the start of the second half in quick succession, that knocked the stuffing out of Hibs, I think. Big wide grass pitch helped us as well. Once we got to grips with that, but really didn't see it coming. Predicted 2-0. Did say I thought Hibs would probably score. To be fair, Hibs probably should have scored at 0-0. Again, we'll get to that. But I mean, winning a cup final is brilliant. Beating the team above you in the league is even sweeter. But beating them in the manner we did, just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic day. A few moans and groans about the venue, but that's just the league. That's down to the league. Like that doesn't take away from the fact that it was like a cracking day out. It was good that we could all be there. You know, it was nice. We don't, obviously, for logistical reasons and for match clash reasons and all that, we can't always all be at the same game. Just a pity we couldn't all be together at the game because everybody seemed to sit in their allocated seat, which is very unusual. You know what I mean? But maybe needed the union bears to come along and throw some people out their seats, and people haven't. Just that might have helped us all get together. But no, it was a cracking day. Nice way to spend the Saturday afternoon, even if it was in Motherwell.
Absolutely, yes. Because I think the boss said many a time on Saturday, "Well, it's Motherwell." You know, if something wasn't great, well, it's Motherwell. And Martin always has a bit of a dislike for Motherwell, as you can see. If anything went wrong, he blamed it on Motherwell. But you know, Carr, looking at the team that started on Saturday, you had Fife in goals, Docherty, Hill, Eddie at the back. You had Lizzie Arnott, Kirsty McLean, Chelsea Cornett, Camille Lefebvre, Brogan Hay, and then you had Kirsty Wilkinson, Kirsty Howitt. Was it a team that you expected to see? You know, the usual 3-5-2 was that, or did you expect to see the sort of 3-4-3 with the one attacker dropping into the sort of attacking midfield sort of area?
No, I kind of expected it would be that way. It was nice to see Camille start. I think we all called for that, wanted that to happen. So quite happy for that. And obviously Katie Wilkinson starting up front beside Kirsty Howitt makes a bit of a difference because I don't know who Kirsty Wilkinson is, but we'll forgive you, Brian. It's been a long weekend for you.
Yes, the long weekend. Yeah. But I mean, Alan, it was pretty much a full strength team, you know, squad as well. I mean, there was even sort of murmurings or rumours that Laura Berry could play because it wasn't against her parent club, but obviously she played in a previous round, so she was cup tied. But just even seeing the sort of squad players that were there, that Ailey Austin that's on loan, Laura Berry obviously is back at the club, but obviously couldn't play because she was cup tied. It just seemed so nice that there were so many people involved in that game on Saturday that got involved in the celebrations, wasn't it?
Yeah, and listen, even Megan Cunningham hasn't featured in the team. Eunice was. Not sure where that noise is coming from, but Sarah Eunice was there and a brace. Charlotte Devlin, we've not seen her around for a wee while. Mia McCauley's there, and I believe Mia's back in training, so I think she'll be back sooner than anybody else. But it really seemed a proper team effort. It was the most sort of together I've probably seen the team for quite a while, and it's a team we pretty much predicted last week on the pod. It was probably rare this season. We've all been quite happy when we've seen the team. There's always been things we're looking at and we maybe would have changed, but I think we'd all have been very happy with that team when it came out, and it set the stall for a really good start to the game.
Brian, on the togetherness, I don't know if anybody else noticed it in the highlights, but when we scored the first goal and the camera pans to Joe in the dugout, you see them all having a wee party behind her. That was fabulous. That's great. That's absolutely brilliant to see the young team dancing about behind her. That's tremendous to see. That's team working together, and it's right there.
Absolutely. I mean, Demi, it must be difficult for a player if you're not obviously starting every game. You're only coming on as a sub, or you're not involved most games. But when you're called upon and you're playing, it's important. They always contribute, and there was, as I say, there was girls there that are either playing or haven't played, or just for whatever reason. It was just so nice to see the unity there, wasn't it? I mean, because I think before the winter break, there was certainly a sort of thought of they're getting they were just getting too sort of what's the word I'm looking for? They were very in each other's space too much. But I'll tell you what, I seen a big difference on Saturday.
Yeah, look at, for even just example, Jodie McCleary and Liv McLaughlin. Obviously, neither of them started. But when they came on, obviously Jodie should have scored. Liv did, really well in the midfield. And I mean, look at the celebrations that they were doing on the pitch. I mean, Liv was getting involved in everything. Doesn't matter if someone was doing something, Liv was there doing it alongside them. So do you know what I mean? Some things are bigger than starting every game. And they came on, did what Joe asked them to do, and I'd say certainly Liv, but probably all of them enjoyed the celebrations just as much as all those who started.
Absolutely. And I think, Car, it's fair to say that we didn't start the greatest. I think we took a while to get into the game. And you could probably argue that, Hibs should have probably been ahead before we scored.
Well, they should have, because there was an offside goal that they scored, and then there's one that just marginally went past the post. So they really easily could have been ahead before we kind of got into gear. But sometimes that happens. They start a bit stronger and then it fires us up a bit. I don't know if that's the case or if we just kind of grew into the game. But yeah, they certainly probably should have been ahead. That offside goal was offside, so that's fair enough. But that one that just kind of went past the post, that was a bit of a tense moment for me. I turned to Laura and was just like, oh, we got away with one there. We got really lucky there. So yeah, it didn't start the best, but we certainly grew into the game and came into our own.
Absolutely. I think from my point of view, when I was sitting, I think you guys who were sitting more centrally had a better sort of angle of that shot that Hibs had. It didn't look that close from where I was, but I think from where you guys were, it was certainly a lot closer, because it looked, when it went past the post, it didn't look that close from where I was sitting, because I think I was sitting further left from you. But I think if you were sitting more centrally, it looked a lot closer than what it was. So maybe we were, looking back, we were maybe quite glad we didn't see how close it was. But
I think very close. I watched the highlights just before we came on, and she's a very good striker, Kathleen McGovern, and I don't know why she's taking that with her left foot. If she's taking it with her right foot, the natural shape of the shot, it would probably have crept inside the post. But we got away with that. I don't think we actually started too badly. I thought the game was very sort of back and forth. I think there were chances at both ends. Paul McCorricle's jumping in about the one Kirsty Howitt's flagged offside. That chance wasn't in the club's highlights, but at the time it looked like Kirsty was offside. She just went a wee bit too early. She'd done that a couple of times, but maybe the TV replay showed that it actually wasn't. But there were definitely chances for us early in the half. But Joe spoke sort of post-match in our interviews with Sky that, you know, the team fought to earn the right to compete in that game. You know, I think we've obviously had a bit of scar tissue for playing Hibs earlier in the season in the league and struggled against them. So I think the team put in a huge amount of work just to make sure that they could then get ahead and then use their quality to overpower Hibs in the second half. And, you know, I think that's exactly what we've done.
And look, I think
Absolutely.
you've got to look at what Nick came out after the game and said that, you know, in the first half, you know, they sort of didn't realise the pockets of space they had to play in. I also think in the first half, now, excuse me if I butchered her name here, but in the first half, I think we were giving Papadopoulos pretty much whatever space she wanted, we were giving it to her. I mean, the one that they put wide and their offside goal came from her running through, you know, sort of every space in our midfield. So I think sort of obviously they've picked up on that at half time. In second half, Joe said, look, yes, we have space to play in, but we're giving them too much space. Because I think second half she was, you know, very quiet and didn't really offer too much because I think we shut down that space that she had been playing forward into in the first half.
Yeah, good point, Demi. Very good point. Well, first goal obviously came 38 minutes. Katie Wilkinson scoring the first goal. But it's not until you see things live, you don't appreciate things that happen. But Camille Fay did a lot of dirty work in that goal, didn't she? She rescued a ball that maybe was going to go out. And the ball came to Kirsty. She had a shot initially, which was blocked. And then it was a good volley at the goal. But, you know, I think Camille deserves a lot of credit for that first goal. And you're on mute.
Yellow card, Will.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry, yeah, I'm not usually put it on mute, man. Anyway, yeah. As I was saying, I think Kirsty Howard deserves a lot of plaudits as well because she kind of gave the ball to Camille. Camille did great to give it back to Kirsty, and then as Ian Crocker said on Sky, because I caught the game on Sky later on Saturday night. Katie Wilkinson scores because of course she does. Because that's just what she does, and it was a great. I mean, the ball came back to her when it was blocked. I first of all thought it was a keeper that got it. It was actually the defender getting away with it, and it came back to her, and you know, it was only going one place when it came back to her, and straight into the net. You know, but I said at half time I thought we were lucky to be ahead because, you know, as we've all said, they had a couple of chances. I mean, the one that was offside, it was offside. Even when we were sitting, I thought it was offside. But the Lassie McGovern's got to score that one she puts by the post that we talked about. She has to. And okay, yeah, we had all the play in the first half more or less. But as Demi says, that Lassie, whose name I'm not going to attempt to butcher, her with the Greek name. I don't know if she's Greek, but she's got something like a Greek name. She was basically running the midfield for Hibs. You know, she's creating loads of chances for them. And although I don't think we were any great danger, we didn't really create a lot with a couple of half chances early doors. I mean, Kirsty Howard should have scored early on. Didn't, unfortunately. I'll just say that Lassie McGovern should have scored for them. I just personally thought we were lucky to be ahead. Maybe not the right thing. It was very even the first half. But I mean, as Nick said after the game, I mean, Demi touched on it there, that they didn't realise that the amount of space that they had in behind them until it was pointed out from half time, and then they just came out and exploited that space.
Absolutely. Of course, we went 1-0 ahead. I mean, I think Kirsty Howard had a really good chance just before half time. You know, she was through in goal. Goalie saved it, and I think it was Lizzie Arnott that was nearly came back to sort of get the reply card. But second half, I dare say that, you know, they were told, as Wolf has just said, you know, there was space. Free kick that was given, as far as Katie Wilkins is concerned, Carp was but by her standards, not the best, hit the wall. But Brogan lobs it back in, and great play from Camilla Fay to see that. There was somebody standing offside, but obviously didn't get involved. But Camille's carried on, seen the ball coming, nobody else seen it, and got ahead of the goalie. And I would say from that point on, I think Hibs definitely thought, right, we're done here. Do you agree?
I think so. I don't know what Joe said to them at halftime, whether it was just a case of their space, they're going to exploit it, or if she kind of went through them and said, you're a bit better than this. But I mean, Alan, I think it was Alan or Wolf before the game pointed out that she scored a free kick in every round prior to the final. So you'd assume that she'd probably hit that into the back of the net, but it comes off the wall. Hibs are sleeping. They're not really paying attention to where the ball's gone at that point. Brogan just has to tap it over them, and Camille's there, hits it off the goalkeeper, who probably should have saved it, to be honest, but it rolls off of her and into the back of the net. But tremendous effort from Camille, never gives up, doesn't know when to stop, and the run she does after it to go a knee slide, she looked absolutely buzzing. I hope that'll get her fired up and want her to stay for another season or so, because she looked delighted, and we were too, because we all love Camille. Such a good goal, and as you say, after that, we just absolutely flying at that point. There was no stopping us after that.
Brian, can I ask a question to everybody here? I mean, the advocate job. You said that somebody was offside. It was Kathy Hill was offside.
Yeah.
Now, I think, and it's just no personal opinion, I think had there been VAR in play, that goal would have been chalked off. As Kathy moved towards the ball, then stopped, and she saw Camille coming through. No, Camille's never offside in a million years. I just don't know whether you guys think that possibly had there been VAR in play, which there wasn't, and it's fine. They might have looked at it and went, "No, Kathy was going for that, so we're just going to chalk that off."
But she didn't touch it. I thought the rule was only if the player, she's going for it, but she never changes, the direction of the ball. She doesn't block the view of the keeper. So I feel like even with VAR, it would have stood.
I'm just watching a replay of the goal, and she takes one step, maybe a step and a half towards where the ball's going. That's all she does.
I'm watching that step completely offside. That I don't think she'd done enough to have an impact. So I think that would probably have stood even with VAR.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going back to Camille, I mean, she got booked early doors in that game. Harshly, I would have thought. It was. I think she tried to pull out the tackle. I don't think she meant. She obviously realised she wasn't going to get to the ball. She tried to pull out the tackle, and the referee, the less I'm going to say about the referee, the better. But he booked her after, very early. I think it was only like 20 minutes. He booked her. She tried to pull out the tackle. Obviously, realised she wasn't going to get there. The referee still booked her. But I'll tell you what, Camille was still going around that pitch car, tackling, being just working away. She never stopped, did she?
No, she's a menace to teams that play against her, because that's just what she does. But the whole game was scrappy. I mean, yellow cards should have been flying about a lot more than they were.
Yeah.
I think the ref, I'm not going to say the word I want to say, but stopped himself giving cards that should have been given. I mean, Siobhan Hunter's pushing players all over the shop and nothing's getting done about it. It was just chaos at points, but that's what happens sometimes. Refs don't get a hold of it. But as you say, Camille just kept going. She's not the type of player that does tackles like that, though, to go in and hurt people. She just loves a tackle. So just got a bit unlucky there with that one, but didn't stop her for the rest of the game doing what she does.
Brian, I disagree with you. That's a yellow card all day for me.
Well, as I say, I've not seen the replay. I only seen it in real live time.
I only thought in real time. I said, I turned around Demi, I'll tell you, it's a yellow card all day. For me, yellow. And I actually expected Camille to get hooked at half time because of the way she plays. But fair play to Joe leaving her on.
Yeah.
And fair play to Camille for keeping the head as well. As Carl says, she likes a tackle. And when the pitch that way, you can very easily get it wrong. And fair play to her, she didn't. But no, I think take my blue tinted specs off, I think that's a yellow card all day.
Fair enough. As I say, I wasn't seated ideally for seeing things like that. I just thought when I seen it in real time, she realized she went for the tackle initially, then realized she wasn't going to get there, tried to pull out, but still made contact. So, I thought it was unfortunate, but I mean, as Car's saying, Siobhan Hunter was throwing people around or pushing people around, and I mean, she made one hell of a tackle on Kirsty Howard-Allen. I mean, that was a cruncher one from behind, wasn't it? That was Kirsty was down for a good couple of minutes, because that was a sore one, wasn't it?
Yeah, listen, that's the sort of no quarters asked sort of defending it Siobhan Hunter gives Hibs, and she's been a mainstay of that Hibs team for a long, long time, and certainly she was on her booting and eventually was taken off in the second half, but I think that's maybe when we could have put a wee bit more pressure on her when she was on her booting. But she is a very experienced player, and I would have been surprised that she done enough to get a second deal. But we need to show we were a wee bit stronger against some of that defending at times. Certainly the referees aren't going to help us out. they miss they miss too much. Quite honestly, we talk about it every week, but it's a learning curve. But I think overall we stood up to Hibs very well physically. And certainly with fouls on both sides. I'm with Wilf. I think Camille, deserved the booting, but it didn't really hamper her game. She still got involved. She was the one that won the free kick that we got second goal from that she ended up scoring. So once she did eventually go off for Jodie came on and done just filled her boots, just exactly what Camille was doing, which was absolutely brilliant to see.
Now, Wolf, I'll speak to you about this because obviously we've spoke about this many times, probably on the main pod as well. There was a bit of a set to between Katie Wilkinson and Siobhan Hunter at one point, and Katie put her hand out to shake it, and Siobhan Hunter wasn't very willing to accept that handshake. Is it a case of that we need to be a bit more, dare I say it, a bit more good at the dark arts, or just have a little bit more of a nasty streak about us to, all right, we won easily on Saturday, but going into the last bits of the season, do we need to be a bit more? No, it's all about us. I'm not. If I tackle you and you're down, I'm not going to say, "Oh, I'm sorry." Just get on with it.
I think we've got that. I mean, the one you're talking about with Katie and actually Siobhan Hunter, and don't get me started on her by the way, because I could get. It was one of them. It was a set to the referee kind of separated them, and the right thing to do is just to shake your opponent's hand and say, "Fair enough. This bit's over, but we're not finished yet." You know what I mean, for Siobhan Hunter to split the dummy. You know what I mean? As Carl says, Alan said we didn't really exploit the fact that she was on a yellow.
Yeah.
And I know, as he said, she's an experienced player, but she'd obviously split the dummy because she refused to shake Katie's hand. So just run at her, just go at her, just say, "Katie, there's the ball, go run at her." And if you get past her, she'll pull you down, she'll get sent off. You don't want them down to 10 in a cup final, and it wouldn't have made a lot of difference. But in the grand scheme of things, that might help us later in the season if she gets a wee suspension. You know what I mean? But no, I think we've got players there who don't mind mixing it, who don't mind doing the dark arts. It's difficult these days because it's not the way it used to be back when you were a lad. There wasn't so many cameras about. You got away with a lot more.
No.
Because
there was one camera.
Yeah, but the thing is, as well, though, they'll pick stuff up and they would still retrospectively try and ban people because they'll it's not something that happens a lot in women's football, but it's something that they'll do if they have to. If it's something completely blatant. But I mean, if an opponent player's down, I'm okay with one of our players going up and saying, "Are you okay?" and just walking away. I'm not asking them to help them up and straighten the shirt for them and all that sort of stuff. But if you've had a set to with a player and you go to shake their hand, you should expect them to shake it back. If they don't, you should say, "Right, that's it, the gloves are off."
Yes.
It's you and me, and there's only going to be one winner. Put it this way, right? If it's Katie Wilkinson versus any other opponent in this league, there's only going to be one winner. And it isn't the other person.
Yes, that's very true. Very true. And then, Demi, not long after, a third goal came, 50 minutes, I think it was. Leah Eddy makes a break from the back, goes through two or three of them, has a shot, but it deflects, and then Kirsty Howitt's there, makes a cross, and the defender's got no other option but to try and block it. But unfortunate for us, unfortunate for them, she guides it into her own goal, so it's 3-0. And pretty much, I think I turn around to the lassie next to me and says, "Well, that's it, game over now, 3-0. We're home and coasting now."
Yeah, and I think Kirsty did. There was a lot of effort in there for her to, the ball basically was almost out of play. So I think she did well to, keep that in. And you could tell that when she was crossing the ball. However, I am unsure whether she was trying to find Wilco or Lafay because they were, sort of spitting distance away from each other. So,
yeah.
But it was clear, she was trying to find one of them, and the Hibs player just got in the way. Obviously a bit gutting for her, but tough. Do you know what I mean? She put it in the back of the net. That's her problem. But it was sort of unlucky. I don't think there was much else she could have done about that. But I think we've got to look at Kirsty. I mean, I think she did really well to keep the ball in there. Yeah,
I mean, just a little word on Kirsty Carr. I mean, she probably covered every blade of grass at Fir Park. She got hit. She got bounced around the pitch. She scored. She pretty much did everything that day. She assisted. I mean, she was what a warrior she was on Saturday.
It's just what Kirsty does. These games, finals, really, matches that need to be clinched, Kirsty really shows up for them. But as you say yesterday, she was just absolutely unreal. The whole game, I mean, as you say, she was getting kicked and pulled about all over the place and all sorts, and she just was getting back up and getting on with it. And then, one assist and a goal. It's not a bad return in a cup final. And she loves those moments. And you could see after the game, she was just lapping it up from the fans. Everybody was singing her name. She was having a great time celebrating. So it's always nice to see when one of our own, gets to do that. But as you say, she was absolutely unreal yesterday.
I'd love to see a heat map. I'd love to see a heat map of Kirsty Howard on Saturday.
Because she was everywhere. She was absolutely everywhere. I mean, she was even, I think there was a point where I think Lizzie in the second half was breaking forward and Kirsty was filling in at left midfield, and she was just everywhere. And it's one of the most amazing sort of single performances you'll see. But Alan, I mean, even the goalkeeper, I mean, there was a point in that game where I was like, gee, was another goalkeeper making save after save after save. She made some incredible saves, didn't she?
Yeah, listen, Aaron Parker's had a really good game for Hibs. She probably should have saved Camille's effort, but I don't think she had much she could have done about the other goals. And she certainly saved Hibs from conceding more. But her movement was excellent. That own goal came from getting the ball across early when the defenders are facing their own goal. And there's always the potential in that. That we're getting the ball over early and not giving them a chance to get set up. So the work that Kirsty put in, the work that the whole team put in, we've already mentioned it, but we can't mention it enough. It was a real team performance. The work rate from the whole team. Even from that third goal, Leah's break for the back and going through players and past players and then being brave and taking shots on. We're not seeing enough of that for the defenders breaking forward and taking shots on. Even Nick had a shot in the first half. Didn't come to anything. No, I wouldn't even have made it out for a goal kick. But it was nice that she was actually looking to take the shot on. And Leah's doing the same going forward on the other side. But it all came from the defence being really well balanced. We're far better as a team going forward and defending when Leah's on the right and Nick's on the left.
Absolutely. And Wolf, the fourth goal, scored by Kirsty Howard, started by Kirsty Howard, gives it to Brogan. Brogan gives it back just in the edge of the box, picks her spot and buries it in the bottom corner. And by that time, it's set. If it wasn't over before, it certainly was then.
Well, Kirsty said herself at the end of the game, her legs had gone. She just sort of stabbed it. I mean,
she was done from a long time before that, wasn't she?
I'm amazed that she wasn't hooked when Wilco went off in the 16th, 70th minute. I was expecting Kirsty to go then because her legs. I mean, you could tell she was knackered because she'd covered everybody in the grass. I mean, not long before she scored, there was one of the chances that the keeper saved. The keeper did a double save from Kirsty, then from Jodie, and then a couple of minutes later there was Kirsty was running through and she overran it and stabbed it to the keeper. She overran it because she didn't have the legs to catch the ball. She was knackered. You could see she was absolutely done. I'm thinking, Kirsty's going to do well to see this game out. And then the ball came and Liv puts it into Brogan, gave it to Kirsty, great finish. She just stabbed at the pitch, helped because the pitch was wet by that point. I thought when it started raining, the pitch got really, really, got really heavy. I think which didn't help them, which possibly contributes to Kirsty's legs going catting and doing the cramp, all that stuff. I don't think the condition of the pitch helped that. Although it looked quite good in the TV pictures, but close up because we were sitting near the front. As soon as it started raining, it just looked really heavy. It just looked as if it was holding the rain, which helped the ball kind of slip in for Kirsty's goal. But as Carl says, that's just what she does. You know what I mean? And you can see in the celebration, she absolutely loved it. I mean, she was the first to break from the presentation podium when they were all jumping about. And then she ran down, picked up a pair of glasses and a couple of scarves, and then sort of went, "Oh, wait a minute, I'll be back." Ran back to the presentation podium and grabbed everybody else. It was brilliant. It's one of our own enjoying winning trophies for Rangers. It's just absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. And Demi, the last goal, the veteran Jane Ross gets the ball, waits for the perfect moment, and it's just a marvelous ball for Rio Hardy. She waits for the right moment. Rio doesn't have to break stride, and I generally thought Rio was going to go for the far post, but cleverly Rio goes near post, and just slots it away, and then, well, by 5-0, it's party time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still questioning how she actually managed to get that in from, where she was. When she took that shot, I think I turned to Dad and I was like, surely not, but, it went in. So, yeah, look, I think we were all secretly partying at 2-0, but, when it gets to 5, there's no more secret about it. You're just kind of, partying. As soon as that ball went in, obviously there was 20 seconds left. We were literally just waiting on the ref to blow his whistle, to officially start the party.
I mean, Carr, as Paul's saying, on the last goal, we need to mention how good the hold-up play from Jane was to wait for Rio coming. As I said just there, it was inch perfect. She didn't have to break stride, Rio. Jane just played the most delicious ball in there, and Rio just didn't have to break stride. She just could carry on at the speed she was going, pick her moment, and score.
Yeah, I don't know who it was around me. It might have been you, Alan, that said that we needed more of that in the game, because there was points where we were hitting it too early, but Jane just had, the wherewithal to just wait. Saw Rio coming in and just pick her out. It was just, you think about what Jane's done for us as a club over the years, and then she's coming on as a sub is incredible. She's still here, she's still got it, and it how nice for her to be on the pitch when we go and get the final goal and go and win the trophy, which she's done before with us. So it's nice to have that moment. But what a day for the Hardy family that was, because obviously Rio lifted our trophy, her sister I believe lifted their trophy. So what a day for their family to just go and enjoy that, the two sisters winning both cups for their respective clubs.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great story. I mean, even Alan, I don't know if I was obviously in the car driving up the road when I heard the interview, but Camille Lefay's interview after the game. I mean, I'll tell you what, if she's not the definition of getting the bug, I think Camille Lefay's got the bug now, hasn't she?
Oh, I think she's very much got the bug, and you see the way she plays, you see all the celebrations after, you see the videos that are posted by Rangers on the training stuff. Camille's clearly a hugely popular member of that squad, and if you've ever played football and you watch Camille playing, you'll understand why she's so popular with her teammates. The work rate she puts in, the commitment she shows on the park, that's the sort of player you love to play with. That's the sort of player that you absolutely love being part of your team. Demi's on it, still playing football at all years. Demi would love a player like Camille and her team, putting that sort of work in, and Camille just looks like she's having a great time, and that helps people play better, when you're genuinely enjoying it. But one person we've barely mentioned that had a great game and was a big part in it was Jenna in goals.
Yeah.
I said on our pod on Saturday in the supporters group pod, Jenna doing everything sort of rock solid, absolutely spot on, helped us settle and helped us not look in danger. And it was key. We didn't tend to mess about with too many passes at the back. Jenna's kicking was spot on, got us up the park. Our handling was absolutely spot on, and particularly on a grass park with so much rain. For a goalkeeper's handling to be absolutely spot on was absolutely brilliant. So Jenna gets a lot of stick, but it's worth pointing out she did an excellent game, like she did last week at Motherwell.
Absolutely, and Wolf, as the title goes, League Cup Three-Peat, do we get to keep it?
Well, I mean, back when I was a lad, I know it was a sponsored trophy beginning. I mean, this will probably blow Demi's mind because I don't think she's aware of it. But back in the late 80s, early 90s, the Men's League Cup was sponsored. There was actually two trophies. You got two trophies. There was the Skull League Cup, so you got the League Cup and the Skull Trophy, or whatever it was. And because we won it 3 years in a row, we got to keep it. But we only got to keep the sponsors trophy, not the actual league trophy. But because the the League Cup trophy is a new trophy, and we're the only team that's won it, I don't see why they don't just let us keep it. So if you win three Champions Leagues in a row, you get to keep them, get to keep the trophy, the mint a new one. You know what I mean? So why shouldn't we just get to keep it? Because that's the way it was when traditionally in football. But I don't know. It was a bit of a flippant thing I just put in when I was making up the stream. But I think we should get to keep it. But something that I noticed, a lot of the players and the manager spoke about before and after the game was that, and there was 3 or 4 of them saying that, you know, with reference to playing Hibs, they had a lot to prove to themselves because of the way they'd been against Hibs. I mean, Joe said it. I think Nick said it. I think Camille might have said it as well in an interview. There's a few of them said they had a lot. That's brilliant mentality. You know, knowing that you've let yourselves down, you've let the support down, you've effectively let the club down. You know, in games against Hibs, because possibly the mentality wasn't right. I mean, you touched on it earlier, Brian. The games just before New Year, before the winter shutdown, you know, there seemed to be a bit of an issue, which they've got rid of. You know, and it's great to hear them say, you know, we owe it to ourselves. We need to do it to ourselves, and I think now we'll have to let Lee get away with mentioning the T word, because we can now mention the T word because we've got the first leg of it. So, you know, the people, I mean, 1 or 2 people mentioned it before Saturday, which you can't really do because you can't mention it until you've got one in the bag. So we've got one in the bag. We're sitting second in the league behind the team we've just destroyed in the cup final. So hopefully we can overtake them. And by the way, I think the fixtures have done us a huge favour, and I never thought about that till this morning. But with the split, we're 1 game down, which was the team in 6th place. Our next game's the team in 5th place. So, you know, that's probably done us a wee solid. I don't think it clearly wasn't intentional. I think that's worked out well for us. You know what I mean? Because with Glasgow City playing Celtic on Friday night, something's got to give in the league. You know?
Absolutely.
Okay, I would expect Hibs to beat Motherwell. So we won't go top of the league on Sunday if we beat Hearts at Ibrox. And by the way, folks, tickets are still available, so fill your boots down to Ibrox on Sunday. 2 o'clock kickoff. I think it's £8 for adults and £7 if you got my jazz or something. It's not a king's ransom. Great chance to take the kids to Ibrox. It'll be a fantastic day. It should be a decent win for the ladies as well, because it's Hearts. Let's be honest. But yeah, I think that was great. You know, the other thing that this while I'm on my soapbox, the other thing that disappointed me, I said it on Saturday after the game. Yet again, not to take any gloss off Saturday, because I thought that as a team we were superb. The support was brilliant. I mean, the Penny Arcade, they've mentioned it in the comments, the Penny Arcade at the end of the game from the players.
Yeah.
The support was absolutely superb. My only gripe is there wasn't enough of the support there. You know, I mean, just over 4,000 for a National Cup final. That's less than there was last year, I'm sure. Yeah. You know, and what puts it into perspective for me is that I think it was Carl shared with us yesterday that Hamburg filled their main stadium for a
57,000 seater
semi-final. Yep, 57,000. And I mean, even Union Berlin in the German 2nd division, playing a team called Sand, who I've never heard of, got over 5,500 in a second, a run of the all 2nd division league game. You know what I mean? So for a national semi-final to get just over a national final to get just over 4,000, I think it's fairly poor. It might have something to do with the venue, because I don't think the venue was great, to be honest.
On a cheerier note, I thought at the end, like they said in the comments with Penny Arcade, I think I said it in our group chat on whatever night it was. I think it was good that, I mean, I don't know how, but everybody seemed to know the words. You know, Liv, Charlie, Cammy, not even just the Rangers fans in the squad. Every single one of them knew the words to that song.
They're probably all big Roy Orbison fans, Demi.
I mean, Debbie, just going on to the manager, Joe Potter, I mean, she was obviously under a slight bit of pressure. The fact that, as Rolf, Carr and Alan have mentioned, that, you know, they hadn't beaten Hibs this year. Hibs were top of the league. You know, I still wouldn't have said Hibs were favourites going into the game, just purely looking at the teams. But if you're looking at results against the teams where Hibs are, where we are, you could argue Hibs were. The manager was under a little bit of pressure to win that game, but by Joe did she deliver?
Yeah, look, I mean, I do think, you know, you have to look at the previous fixtures in this season. So I do think that we were underdogs going into that game. I don't think that we should ever be underdogs, unless we're sort of playing, City or that other lot. But apart from that, we should never really be, the sort of underdogs. But, Jo, she put out the right team. I feel like for a change, she made the subs when they needed made and not just, 10 minutes from the end of the game. And then give her due as well. When the trophy was being presented, Jo didn't even go up on the, I think it was, did we notice at the time, or I seen it in the highlights, whatever it was, Jo kind of just stood off at the side and sort of joined them after Nick had lifted the trophy. So she let them all enjoy it, before, she kind of got involved in the celebrations.
Yeah, I mean, Car, I think I was listening to, obviously, Joe's interview on the way home. Probably, well, you lot were still celebrating wildly in the stand. But, I mean, Joe mentioned the fact that the first time she won her first trophy was the League Cup. And she was trying to take it all in and suck it all in, enjoy the moment as a manager, the first one she'd won. But Saturday, she said, I was trying to enjoy it more because it's becoming a thing now. We're becoming a team that's not just winning the odd trophy. We're expecting to win trophies.
Well, that's the way that is at Rangers, and I think she's kind of realised that now, that we don't accept mediocrity, that if you lose games, if you struggle in games, if performances aren't good enough, you're going to hear about it. So when you win things and when the team performs well, you'll lap up that praise. That's the way that it works, and I think she's realised that now. And as you say, there was a lot of pressure on her shoulders, having won it the last 2 seasons, struggling against Hibs and results maybe not going our way recently, but well, not the last couple of games, but before that. There was that pressure there, so I think it was more relief than anything. I think that is the wildest celebrations there have been winning the League Cup. I don't know if it was just because the fans were more up for it. There was a lot more of an atmosphere as well, so there's only like 4,000 in, but it felt louder. There was a lot more going on. And I don't know if that kind of fed onto the team and then they were enjoying it more because of that, or just the relief more than anything that they the performance, winning 5-0 against Hibs, who are top of the league, and retaining the trophy. It was just a bit of a buzz for everyone. But yeah, really classed out, and hopefully that's a sign that we've kick on now. Maybe Hibs will capitulate a little bit and we'll kick on and go and do better in the league.
Ryan, I think touching on what Carl said there about the atmosphere, right? I think that's possibly the only plus point of using Fir Park and using that little stand, that John Hunter stand that we're in. It's quite an enclosed stand. It's not very big. The roof's quite low on it, so it does kind of project the sound out, which probably made it sound a lot louder than it probably would have done at Tynecastle, because at Tynecastle the roof's way above you in that main stand where they see everybody. So from that point of view, yeah, Fir Park probably worked because it made it sound a lot louder than 4,000 people. You know what I mean? The atmosphere was. I mean, the fans were up for it from the very start. I mean, we were there really early because Alan, who lives around the corner, was there for breakfast.
He was there before the stewards.
He was there before the groundsman. You know what I mean? So we met. We were there quite early, and there was loads of people cutting about. You know what I mean? And everybody was in a good mood. And I mean, even the Hibs fans that pitched up. There was a busload of them past, and they're all banging on the windows. The sort of crack you'd expect. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the ones that walked past, not everybody seemed really up for it, which is the way it should be. But as we all said, the atmosphere was brilliant. I mean, it really was. And the partying at the end, just tremendous. And hopefully we'll get more of that to come in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. And Alan, a wee word on the goalie and the defence. I think there's 4 of them were pretty much outstanding. On Saturday. I think all of us at some point have criticised one of the 4 at any point of the season for something that's happened. But I'll tell you what, Leah, Kathy, Nick, and Jenna were all on it on Saturday, and I'll tell you what, they all played their part, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. And I spoke there about Jenna, how important she was in keeping everything settled. I thought defensively they were really good. There's still a mistake in the defence. I keep seeing where they're guilty of going for balls that they can't win, and emptying the space behind. And Hibs didn't punish us for that, but it's a sort of mistake we see that usually costs goals in the games against Celtic. So we need to be careful of that. But I thought they handled the threat of McGovern and Adams really well. I think, and we spoke a lot about the makeup of defence. I really think that the balance is so much better with Leah Eddy on the right, Nick on the left, and where it's Cathy
over the middle,
or even Tessa in the middle. It seems less important who's that middle defender is, as long as Leah's on the right, Nick's on the left. We just seem more balanced, more solid, and the partnership between Leah and Brogan down the right hand side is really encouraging as well. So that's been a big positive.
Absolutely. And as Keith's saying, the Penny Arcade at the end was brilliant between the players and the fans. So the win together and the low roof certainly helped. I even think the are you feeling that the first song that came out that after we won, I think everybody was belting that out, and I think that was tremendous as well. But I think one thing,
Brian, can you put out to Keith? I hadn't read the end of that before I made my comment about the low roof. I had worked that out all on my own, but yeah,
absolutely. But one thing that also helped on Saturday was also that Alan, the birthday boy, you got your wish. You got your nice shiny silver thing at the end.
Yeah, listen, if Rangers want to keep winning and have trophies on my birthday weekend, I'm more than happy for that to be a tradition that just lasts forevermore. So, it's certainly a good way to celebrate. I spent time with people closest to me. I watched their team. Win a shiny silver thing. His birthdays go, you can't really ask for much more than that.
Can you not move your birthday to the second or third week in May? Thank you.
Debbie, just a quick one. I think it was also very nice that the men's manager was there. Very easy for him to maybe ignore it or not go, but I think it was important for him to be there because obviously he's just in the job, showing support. He was wishing Joe Potter all the best before the game. I think that was a photograph that was doing the rounds. Nice to see that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, obviously it was nice, for Barry to go show the support to the women's team, show that it's one club, not two. But on the sort of flip side of that, mainly, I felt really, really bad for Joe Potter, in that sort of second half when we were, 3-4 up, and the 50% of the Rangers supporters singing Barry, singing Barry's name. Yeah. And it does, obviously, he's there, but they didn't win the game. Like, Barry Ferguson had no influence on that game, like whether he was there or not, the outcome would have been the same. So I do feel a bit bad for Jo in that sense that, she's sort of putting all the hard work behind the scenes, but, Barry Ferguson's name was being shouted more than her. But obviously, it's nice to see him there, but I did think that was, I felt a bit bad for Jo.
Brian, just for context, I believe the Hibernian men's manager was there as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe he was there as well.
I'm not on the Hib social, so I did not know.
Well, neither am I. Somebody said to me, by the way, he's there as well. David. Sorry, to give him his full title, Sir David Gray's there as well.
Sir David, very good.
Nice to see him at home with his tail between his legs. But it's great. It's great that it's the one club ethos comes through. Whether it's Rangers, whether it's Hibs, whether it's that lot, whether it's Hearts, whoever. You need that. You really do need that. I mean, Rangers have tried to incorporate it because they've had women's team representation at the last 2 or 3 AGMs. Okay, Joe couldn't make the last one, which was at the one before that. Donald was at the last one, but he sat there and didn't say anything. I didn't see the point in having him there. But Joe, they did a Q&A with Joe at the AGM that she was at. So at least it's nice to know that they're trying stuff. I still don't think they pushed the tickets for the game on Saturday enough, to be perfectly honest.
No.
But it'll come.
But obviously, we're back to league business at the weekend. Friday night sees Celtic versus Glasgow City. I mean, Carl, that's a big game. You're obviously, I don't like to say this maybe, but you're obviously one team to win to dent the other team. It's a tricky one, that, isn't it?
I'll take a draw. I mean, 0-0 draw. Or I never want them to win. Never in my life would I ever want them to win. But the top half of the table, I would prefer if they maybe won because that would help us a little bit. But a draw would be ideal situation for us. But, they seem to get Friday night games a lot. I don't really know how that works out. That's 2 in a row they've played each other and they've both been on Friday night. Funny how that works out. But it's just the way it is. But we'll go into Sunday knowing what's happened elsewhere because of them and then I don't think it'll change our game much, but it helps if you're already on a bit of a high with whatever the outcome of that game is, I suppose.
Yeah, it's quite funny that they play each other on a Friday and we play Glasgow City twice on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Funny that.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Alan, we play, as Carl says, we play Hearts on the Sunday, live on BBC Alba. Obviously riding high after winning the cup final. You'd like to think that confidence is high in the way the team are playing, that 3 points would be more than forthcoming.
You would like to think so, and as well said, we've played this team in 6th place first after a split, now we play the team in 5th place, and we sometimes talk about performance dropping when we play in grass. So it's probably a perfect time to have a game at Ibrox. Coming right off the back of the cup final at Third Park on grass. We've got an extra day's recovery that we would usually have for the game being on Saturday and is not playing Sunday. So I think players will go into the game absolutely flying. I'm getting a chance to play at Ibrox, which players I will look forward to. It'll maybe be first time for one or two of the players. Not sure if any of them actually missed out. It's certainly first time Telma's going to be involved in the squad, So I'd expect a good performance. I'd expect the team to come out and start fast. I'd expect few, if any, changes to the team. I think that you win 5-0 in a cup final, you expect to keep your place. So I think we'll go in with momentum, we'll go in with confidence, and somebody's dropping points, on Friday night, and that's got to be a story of the top 6. Teams are all playing against each other, so there's going to be teams dropping points every single week around about us, and we just need to make sure we drop less than the others do. I've spoken many times that our record against the top 5 is no good for the league, but I've said for months and months, I think the Champions League has still been hanging over us, and I really hope that performance and result on Saturday has finally burst that bubble and lets us go and play with freedom and confidence in these big games.
Do you fancy giving us a wee prediction for Sunday, Alan?
4-0. Kirsty McLean's due a goal, so I'll go for Kirsty to score first.
Wolf, I know the second bit to this answer, but what's the first part?
I'll go for 5 then. I'll see Alan's 4 and raise on 1. I'll go for 5. First goal scorer. She likes a goal at Ibrox. Kirsty Howard.
Kirsty Howard. Demi?
I think 4-0. And first goal, Camille Lafay.
Good shout. Car?
I don't know whether I go overconfident because I went really underconfident for the Saturday and said 2-1. So I don't know. I think there is goals in it and from us. So I think I'll agree with the consensus of 4-0. And I'd love for Jodie to get her first goal. I would absolutely love that. A wee knee slice from Jodie McCleary when she scores at Ibrox would just be unreal. But she's not going to start realistically. So I'll say Rio.
Fair enough. I'll maybe undercook you all. I'll go 3-0 just to keep the lid on things. I'm not, well, you went 4-4-5, so 4-4-4-5. So I'll go 3, and I'll say Lizzie on it. Just, I don't know why. Just don't know. She likes a goal at a big stadium, so I'll say Lizzie on it. So that's us, folks. We appreciate that we've had to go over a lot today because obviously it's a cup win. There's obviously more in the pod than normal, but because of the result at the weekend, we felt that everybody that was there deserved to be here. We even asked the boss to come on, but he declined because he's been on so much today. So Sniper's going 6, Paul's going 3. So yeah, there's a variant. We've heard 6, 5, 4s and 3s now. So I mean, is there any sense, Demi, that we might be, Hearts, they've caused us problems in the past. Are we are we underestimating Hearts?
No, I mean, I think it's sort of moving this game to Ibrox has come at, almost the perfect time because not only have we just played on grass at Motherwell, the pitch was also, wider than Broadwood or the Oriam. So I think not only have we played on a grass pitch, we've just, won 5-0. I mean, going by the league table, we've just won 5-0 against a better side. And Don't tell Carol I said that. But just won 5-0 against, a better side on a wide pitch. So I think, it's come at a perfect time for us. They've also had, a week off because they wouldn't have played last week. So, I just think it's very different than, the last time we played them at Broadwood. So I don't think we've underestimated them really.
Fair enough. That's a good shout. And I also appreciate, folks, that we've got the Blue Unicorn sponsor in Mortgage Haven UK. If you need anything money matters, then go to those guys. As I say, if you're watching for the first time, give the Rangers Rabble a like on all the socials for Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and X. Victoria's going for 4-0. Nick Dock first goal scorer. Well, she likes a goal at Ibrox, so
that's twice Vicky said her Sunday name, once on Saturday and once because somebody called her Victoria on Saturday and everybody busted laughing, and there's Brian just called her Victoria again. So
I was just reading what was there, so just being polite. But we're absolutely on all the socials. I believe we're on TikTok as well. I mean, that's not for me, so certainly not for Wolf. If it's not for me, it's not for Wolf. So no, we'll leave the TikTok to the youngsters, but I believe there is obviously the main pod at 7:30, and I don't want to cut in front of that. But because this was a cup final win, I didn't want to let anything go unnoticed. But well done to the Rangers women's team for winning their third League Cup trophy in a row. We play Hearts at the weekend in the league. And obviously the tickets, Wolf, are now out. Well, the date was released for the Scottish Cup semi.
It was, and off the top of my head, it's the last Sunday in April, so 27th, I think. 27th
of April.
At 2:30. So I thought they might have withheld it, announcing it until after the men's split so that the game didn't clash. So with a bit of forward thinking, hopefully the men's team play on the Saturday. There's no reason not to, because if we're still in Europe, we don't play till the following midweek. So, and if we're still in Europe, I'd like to think we'd be guaranteed the Saturday game to give us that extra day before the first leg of a European semi-final. Not counting any chickens, but if that is the case, so hopefully we can have that on the Saturday. We can have the women's semi-final on the Sunday. I believe that's also the night of the Player of the Year awards dinner, which I believe one or two of us are planning on trying to get along to. So yeah, it could be an epic weekend.
Yes, absolutely. And as I say, the main pod starts in a couple of minutes, so I'm not going to hold up things any further. My thanks to everyone for joining us. Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, guys.
Alan, thank you very much.
Thanks, team.
Demi, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And Rolf, thank you very much.
I'm just going to keep talking so that Martin does his bit from this on at 7:30. Thank you very much, guys. Really enjoyed it. Great company as always at the game on Saturday. I'll see you all again on Sunday.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as I say, Rangers Hearts and Sunday at Ibrox. What more do you want? Get the kids along. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for enjoying speaking about this cup win, and we'll see you next Monday.